And what is going on, everybody? Welcome back into another live stream, man. Here we are, man. The Jaguars are 2-11 after getting shut out by the Tennessee Titans 22-0. And there's really not a whole lot for me to talk about right now. The only person who I've really been able to talk about is Urban Meyer, because that seems to really be the only kind of compelling thing going on with this team is just all the Urban Meyer discussion. And you guys have been hearing on this channel, man. I've been just like hating on Urban Meyer. I've been fully on the we need to fire Urban Meyer train, or however you say it. Yeah, fire Urban Meyer train. But there still is a mixed kind of feelings about it all. When I did a video a couple weeks ago, back when I was in Portugal, I made a video basically saying, look, like we need to fire this guy. I said, look, I think we need to fire what's his face, Urban Meyer. And then I got mixed reaction. 60% of people said that we should fire him or that we should keep him, and 40% said fire. And I know one of the guys that is big time behind on the keep Urban Meyer train is someone who's been a good buddy of mine for really a while now. Like, we've always been like friends through Facebook and everything. And that's Ken Bailey from the Men and Teal podcast. So I haven't had him on a channel yet. So I decided, hey, man, like, he's kind of leading the keep Urban Meyer train. So I figure, man, let's bring him in here and he can kind of defend his stance. But he's, I guess, having a little bit of computer issues right now. Actually, after that big long intro, I can bring him in right now. We got Agent K. What's up, man?
What's going on, baby?
Not much, man. Not much. Yeah, man. Finally got you on the channel, man. It's good to have you here.
I appreciate you for the invite, man. Definitely. I've been wanting to come on board with you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So people are like sick and tired of hearing me just bashing Urban Meyer pretty much every video.
So
I had to bring in somebody that is behind Urban Meyer, because right now, like, I can't rationalize keeping him. So I need somebody to kind of bring out the points to me about how and why, after all these reports and after just everything, the 2-11, everything going on with the Jaguars, that they would want to kind of keep around Urban Meyer. So I want to hear your side of it, man.
So, and I've been nonstop with this since Saturday when the news broke. So we actually wound up, shout out Stone Cold Steve Boston. We actually wound up doing our Friday show on Saturday because of some scheduling issues. And that was actually lucky because news broke Saturday with all of this. So when the news first broke, I looked at what was reported. And first of all, the anonymous source thing has never really been something that I'll take to the heart, I'd say. If you can't put your name on it, a return to sender, then you lose credit for me. Not a lot that I take serious from that, because we've dealt with this since he didn't put a name on it, but the Julius Thomas taking shots at Blake Bortles through the media. We've dealt with this forever. And it's always happened. And I've seen a lot of people make comments like, well, it's the NFL's platform. It's the Shield reporting it. What do they have to gain? What has the NFL or the national media ever had to gain from making fun of or picking on Jacksonville? Nothing. It's always happened. It's been a staple in the media forever. So when the reports first came out, I'm like, whatever. The only thing that bothered me out of the Marvin Jones and the calling coaches losers and the James Robinson deal was obviously the James Robinson benching. If that was true, that upset me simply because he didn't own it, for lack of better words. Because at the end of the day, you came out here and you said otherwise. You could have pulled the Mike Tomlin, which I see a lot of people reference now. And you could have came out and actually owned it and said, yes, I benched him. And I feel like if he did do that, it had a lot to do with the fact that James Robinson doesn't fumble the football. James Robinson is now hurt. James Robinson is fumbling the football while running hurt. So, hey, we need to lighten his load. Let's go ahead and sit him down. This is abnormal things that are happening with him. Let's sit him down for a minute. I feel like that's probably how that went. If it did happen, I'll tell you this. When I listened to Tom Pelissaro's interview today, it was today, right? On 1010.
Yeah, I think so. Today or yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. When I listened to that, one thing I noticed, because these media guys are very particular with their words. One thing I noticed was the argument of Urban arguing semantics, which I'll get back to in a second. But two was when he buckled down at the end of the interview, he said, regardless of semantics, two things I promise you. And it was Marvin Jones walked out or was no longer in the building because he was angry, number one. And there was a heated discussion on the sideline of practice, and that there was an instance where he challenged his coaches, were they winners, et cetera, the whole thing. He never mentioned the James Robinson thing again. So I felt that right there told me that was kind of iffy. You had the other two instances. You doubled down on those solely. You didn't reference the James Robinson thing again. I feel like that's kind of iffy. So that I'm not paying any attention to anymore. But let's go with the other two instances, right? I have no problem at all with what was reported that he said to his coaches. None whatsoever. The offensive coordinator, especially, fuck Bevel, he's fucking awful. I've never seen anything like this in my 27 plus years of watching the game. I've never seen anything like this in my 8 plus years coaching the game. I have never observed somebody so incompetent with the tools he's been given. Darrell Bevel, if I asked you, and I'm not sure what you majored in college. What'd you major?
Accounting.
Okay, you're an accountant. So if I ask an accountant, sir, what style offense, let's not even do that. Give me several formations you would run with this Jaguar offense to be successful. What would you say?
I mean, I'd try to run some bunch formation. I would try to run crossing routes to get wide receivers open if they can't. Now, I wouldn't run those wide receivers into each other, but I'd be running cross because if you can't get separation, I'd be trying to figure out ways to get wide receivers open. Mm-hmm. I would be trying to pound the ball no matter how unsuccessful it is, because that's what it looked like the team did well last year. And clearly it's easier to get the run game going than the pass game. I don't know. There's a lot of things I'd be doing.
Right. A lot of maybe some strong eye, offset eye formation of any kind. Maybe anything that it resembles a power style offense, considering you have a power back who is a one-cut runner, so the zone style blocking would fit well. Anything like that. I can count on one hand how many eye formations we've seen this season. So this brings me to where I stand with Darrell Bevel is, you, sir, are Todd Wash of the offense. You are refusing to adapt your scheme to fit your personnel. That was Wash's issue. Wash's issue wasn't that he had a bad scheme. The personnel in which he was left with his last few seasons here in Jacksonville was not good enough, or didn't have the tools, rather, to run that scheme. So you need to adjust. Joe Cullen comes in, right? He adjusts right away. Once he realizes the man-only scheme isn't going to work, add some zone into it, things look a whole lot different now. Now that defense is performing at a much higher level. Darrell Bevel refuses to do that. Urban Meyer, and I'm not an Urban Meyer fan. So my whole argument with Urban Meyer has never been, and I'm not an Ohio State fan nor a Florida fan, not a big college football guy, period. Not a huge Urban Meyer guy in any way. My stance for keeping Urban is this. If you fire Urban Meyer now, you're not just firing Urban Meyer. If you fire Urban and hire me today, I am going to bring in my guys. So you can say goodbye to Joe Cullen, and you can say goodbye to every defensive coach you have on that staff. More than likely, the likelihood of whoever comes in, myself, let's say, the likelihood of me keeping Joe Cullen and trusting him to keep my job because my success is dependent on his success is very slim. I have my guys already in the wings. So now, if you go and you fire Urban Meyer, now what you're doing is you're saying, okay, we're going to bring a whole new staff. And what happens when that happens? We'll bring a whole new scheme in, both sides of the ball. Okay, so now you're bringing in a whole new scheme on defense. What did you just do last year? You just took a 4-3 team and turned it into a 3-4 team. So now you've completely adjusted your scheme to fit, or your talent rather, to fit your scheme of a 3-4. That means you've invested draft capital, you've invested free agency money, all into doing this way. Now You decide, okay, we're going to clean house after 1 year. Let's just go ahead and cut ties. Now what are you doing? Now you're going to have to reinvest draft capital into the same defense you just fixed. You're going to have to reinvest free agent dollars into the same defense that you just fixed. Now you're setting the program back even further. So regardless of whether you keep Urban Meyer or fire him now, this program is going to get set back if he fails. Now, if he succeeds, this program is fine. We're moving forward. We're okay. You can't fire somebody at the first sign of trouble. And I know we can say, well, he's had this issue and that issue and this issue. Well, let's really look at the issues. What are the issues? The first issue was what? The Chris Doyle thing?
Yeah.
Didn't have a problem with it. Never had a problem with the Chris Doyle hire. Could care less about the Chris Doyle hire. We live in 2021. It's a cancel culture. Go back and analyze every single comment that was reported made by Chris Doyle. We talked about this on our show. And even Jay was the first one to say none of that shit was racist. That was shit you hear coaches say. Jimmy Johnson was reported as telling Michael Irvin, you want to go back to the hood? You better get your ass moving. Those were the type of comments Chris Doyle was making. Now, in today's world, it'll get viewed and twisted how you want to twist it, but I never had a problem with the Chris Doyle hire. Bad for optics? Sure, we can have that. Could care less if we had wins. That's where all of these problems change, if we had wins. Nobody gives a fuck that Urban Meyer's out there fingering a booty hole in Cincinnati, Ohio. Nobody cares. If we have wins, nobody cares. Only person who should care is his wife. Beyond that, who else? Doesn't matter. If you have wins. Whether he flies back with the team doesn't matter. If you have wins. I hear that Tebow brought up, oh, we brought Tebow, and that was stupid. Nobody cares if you have wins. None of those things matter if we're winning. Now, we're not winning right now. And you look at why. Well, the offense can't produce. That's it. That's all it comes down to. I was in Cincinnati for the Cincy game. We couldn't score on 4th and goal. Another terrible call by Darrell Bevel on 4th down or on the goal line. Real familiar. Looks a lot like the Super Bowl all over again, except this time, instead of throwing a pass, he calls a read option. We're not going to quarterback sneak our 6'6" quarterback. Why would we do that? Darrell Bevel is the problem. He's the problem all the way around for me. His play calling. I won't say the play design. I don't like to do that because I haven't watched the all 22 footage and watched every single play to evaluate the route tree, what they're doing, the combinations, and try to see what it is he's scheming up. But I will say this, it's the same scheme he ran in Seattle. It was successful. It's the same scheme he ran in Minnesota. It was successful. Detroit, moderately successful. So it can't be that the scheme itself is bad, but the talent he had there was a lot better in all three places. You couldn't go out there and not stuff the box against Minnesota. They had Adrian Peterson, but if you stuff the box, what else happened? You had Brett Favre. You had Percy Harvin. You go out to Seattle, you had Russell Wilson. You had beast mode. You had a stuffed box at all times, but you also had receivers who could do their thing. Same thing in Detroit. You had Matthew Stafford, could sling the ball all over the field. You had they had random receivers here and there. They had Marvin Jones, Golden Tate at times. All over. Different guys, better than what we have here. So I don't believe it's his scheme, but I believe it's his refusal to adjust his scheme to fit what we have. He's just not the right guy for the job. Jay Gruden wasn't the right guy for the Gardner Minshew-led offense. He wants a big 6'6" quarter. Jay Gruden would probably be great here now. He'd be better than Bevel because his offense fits Trevor Lawrence's style. What Bevel wants to do here, it's just not going to work with the talent you have. Yeah. And if you go and fire Urban Meyer now, you're setting the franchise back no matter what. There's no way around it. You are setting them back. You give Urban Meyer another year, he's going to fire Bevel. Whether he hires Dan Mullen or not, I hear that a lot. I personally think he would. If he does that and it fails. Then we're set back again anyway. But it's the if. If. I like that if. I'm tired of being set back. You don't just fire coaches after one season because you don't like their attitude or you don't like the way they talk. He's doubled the wins. I know that sounds funny because it's only one win, but he doubled the wins. And this team, this offense is not better than last year's offense. James Robinson and that offensive line were clicking last season. If Gardner had started all the games, you probably won a few more. This offense is better last season than it is this season. DJ Chark being healthy more, DJ Chark playing. I mean, if DJ Chark's here, maybe things look different. Maybe DJ Chark's trying to get that jump ball instead of Tavon Austin. I mean, those things can change. But if you fire Urban Meyer, you set the franchise back.
So I wanna come in here and make a few points because I know you said a lot of different things, and I guess a big thing that you kind of want is stability here. But the big thing with me is that there's a lot of red flags that are going with Urban Meyer, and this isn't even a play on the field. This isn't even all the rumors and reports that have gone out. When I'm looking solely at the press conferences, it's just he's either lying or he doesn't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And it feels like more and more each week he just doesn't understand, and he hasn't taken control of the team. I mean, we've seen times where, okay, something bad is going on with the coordinator. The coordinator's out of here, and then they take over and, they do their thing. Urban Meyer, I don't know if he's qualified to run an NFL offense, and that's why it seems like he's kind of keeping Darrell Bevell around this year. So here's the thing. Right now, the Jaguars have had 4 different offensive coordinators in 4 straight years. You know what I mean? It's a lot of movement there. So next year, we're probably going to have a 5th different offensive coordinator in 5 years. Well, if this whole thing flops in 1 year, say next year Urban Meyer is out here doing the same stuff, all the same sketchy stuff is happening, and then, the win-loss record is about the same thing. Then Urban Meyer's out of here. Then all of a sudden you have a 6th different offensive coordinator in 6 straight years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that is going to set your franchise back more than just coming in here and bringing in a new guy. And we've seen throughout Shad Khan's whole entire tenure here. In Shad Khan's 10-year tenure, he's had 4 different head coaches and 3 different GMs, but he's only completely cleaned house once. Only once. Mm-hmm. In 2012 when he bought the team, he kept Gene Smith around. 2013, he cleaned house. And then later on, when he got rid of Gus Bradley, all he did was promote Doug Marrone, offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, same exact thing. And then, later on, once we fired Doug Marrone, then Trent Baalke, a guy that was with the Jaguars organization, he stayed around. So throughout this whole entire thing, we've only cleaned house once. And where has that gotten us? You know what I mean? It hasn't gotten us anywhere. So I'm more concerned with getting the right guy in a head coaching job that actually feels and seems like he knows what he's doing. Because, there's times where, like, man, Trevor Lawrence will have a bad game, and I hear him in a press conference and I say, okay, like, he's got the right head on his shoulders. So when I listen to Urban Meyer, even for you, it has to infuriate you sometimes when you hear kind of his answers to things. And it's like, sometimes it feels like he has no idea.
Yeah, no, it is. And like I said before, Urban Meyer sucks. There is no way am I debating, is Urban Meyer doing a good job right now? The Urban Meyer's not. But what I am saying is you don't just let him go because this early he hasn't caught on yet. Let's keep in mind, and I hate to, I'll never say, well, look what Peyton Manning did his rookie year, so Trevor Lawrence is going to be okay. No, because, we've heard the references plenty of, we all listen and take a look at the same media outlets. You can say the same thing about Tim Couch and all that, and compare him to a negative if we want to. But when you go back and you look at, the Jimmy Johnson situation, Jimmy Johnson was blowing up on coaches, having a total meltdown, leaving at the end of the season, disappearing off the face of the earth, going to the Bahamas. Nobody knew where he was, comes back. Everything's different. If the Cowboys would have decided to move on from Jimmy Johnson at that point, when he was failing miserably, when they went from, I believe, the year prior, a 5-6 win team back down to a one win team, if they would have just cut ties with Jimmy then, it's all over. And Jimmy was a disaster. So that's why you just don't move on in 1 year. Because when you do that, That's it. There's no going back. So then you move on and you go and you get somebody else. And then what happens when he doesn't answer questions good in the press conference? So what happens when he gives a little too much rope to his offensive coordinator, his defense coordinator? You're right about basically everything you said. Urban Meyer, I don't think he is in any way, shape, or form capable of taking over and calling an offense. And I think that's exactly why Bevel's still here. Doug Marrone was the same guy, though. He was unable to take over and call that defense. He knew Todd Wash shouldn't be here anymore, but he would have had to promote, insert random assistant to take over calling the defense. That's the only thing Urban can do at this point. And I would guess he would probably, if it got to that point, let's say we go out here, we get blanked by Houston. Okay. If that happens, maybe Bevel's gone at that point, right? You get blanked. This is another week without scoring against a terrible Houston Texans team. Then maybe finally that's enough to get Bevel out of here. You probably promote the tight ends coach, Tyler Bowen. Maybe he takes over play calling duties.
Is he still here? Did he accept a job somewhere else?
So, but he's here till the end of the season.
Okay.
Yeah, he's here through the end of the season. He's the one, he accepted the offensive coordinator position. Yeah, so that's why I say
Clemson,
maybe
right?
Was it Clemson?
No, I don't know where it was. It was some kind of college, right?
It was a big school, big job.
Yeah, I forget.
But yeah, so maybe he takes over. Then he takes over the play calling because that's what he's about to do anyway. Yeah, so he can take over. He knows the offense, that's currently been installed. He takes over. He runs it. Urban's not able to, and I think that's exactly why Bevel's still here. Without going back to all the rumors and shit, because they really are relevant. Yeah, the press conferences bug the shit out of me. They really do.
I can't listen to him anymore, man. I can't listen to him anymore.
Yeah,
it makes me lose hope, and it's sad to me.
It bothers me for two reasons, though. So Urban's answers bother me, but week after week, the media's questions, they're bothering me more and more because you didn't talk like this to Douglas. You didn't. You didn't talk like this to old Gus either. Like the Urban hatred, I mean, it's been here since day one. We know that. We've seen it. Some people just hate Urban Meyer to hate Urban Meyer. I don't think a lot of our media was like that per se, but now when I hear some of these questions, I'm like, whoa, where did you get the nuts to ask that? Like they're putting a little, they got a little savage.
Yeah, they turn into New York media market for sure.
Right. Like you're getting a little savage in your voice here. And, Urban is, and they're taking the little things he says and they're trying to run with them, like the Andre Sisco comment. They're really running this into the ground right now. They're saying, okay, Urban said, yes, Andre Sisco is getting more playing time, but this week he played 0 snaps. Well, you asked him this question 3 weeks ago in a press conference, and he said, yes, we're going to start making sure the rookies get more playing time. Andre Sisco will be getting more playing time. The following 2 games, he received a ton of playing time on defense. I say a ton, but I mean 10 snaps per game at least. I'd have to go count, but at least 10 snaps I was seeing him per game until last week. I don't know what happened last week, but he had been getting more playing time. Yes, he had. So it's a true statement. To take that and harp and say, oh, but he didn't get any playing time this week, so Urban doesn't know what he's talking about. No, that's not true. It's just one instance out of the last grouping. And you're going to take that and you're going to run with it and try to add to this. Urban doesn't know anything. That's silly. That's piling on for no reason. Your offensive line gets paid a whole lot to do nothing, and they're not performing, and he just goes, yeah. I mean, what do you want him to say? Yeah, they fucking suck, bro. I can't say that. But it's funny because he says, yeah, and he leaves it at that. He doesn't go in any deeper. He doesn't really dive in. But then you hear these comments, these Urban Meyer throws his players under the bus. Where is he throwing a player under the bus? You want to say he's throwing his coaches under the bus by deferring blame at times? Okay, we can argue that, I guess. He's not telling you the running back coach benched him. He didn't say that. He said you'd have to ask him. I know there's a rotation due to injury. That's it. That's not throwing him under the bus. That's just stating I don't have an answer for that. And that this guy is probably better to tell you. No, it's not admitting to benching him. It's not saying he benched him. That's what I don't like. It's all the things that are adding into it. If somebody comes to me and they say, bro, I want to fire Urban Meyer because I never wanted him hired in the first place, cool. You got it. Somebody comes in and they say, I want to fire Urban Meyer because we're not winning games. Okay. I don't think that's very smart, but cool. You got it. But it's when all of these new things start to surface that people are like, nope, this is it. What do you mean this is it? Well, he called his coaches losers. They're fucking losers. What do you mean?
Yeah.
The offensive, you know who he's not calling a loser? Joe Cullen. He's not calling anybody on the defensive side a loser. I promise you that.
Yeah.
This is strictly for the offense. And he's made it clear in the last several pressers. That's all he talks about. He's big up in the defense. I mean, offense got to get it together. Well, Marvin Jones, who the fuck cares if Lenny Kravitz is mad? I don't give a fuck. Like, bro, you're mad because you guys aren't getting separation? You're mad? Stop it. You guys are the biggest problem. Trevor Lawrence is looking like the 5th, 6th best. I mean, Davis Mills is looking better than Trevor Lawrence right now.
Yeah.
And it's the offensive line, it's the wide receivers, and it's the play calling. It's a lot less Trevor and a lot more of those three things. So yeah, I could care less if you're upset. But it's the constant, like I said, it's the piling on now that's really weird to me. I read a thing today that was going around Twitter, and it's did you see this message board from Miami?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
That sounds real.
I don't know what's real anymore, man.
No.
All I know is there is a lot of smoke right now.
There is a lot of smoke. And where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And I think there is truth to everything being reported.
Yeah.
What bothered me with Tom Pelissaro's statement is, well, I didn't say he used the word loser. Yeah, you did. You said Urban Meyer informed his coaches he was a winner and they were losers and challenged them to defend their resume. That's what you said in your report. You said the word losers. You said he referred to them as losers. That's what you said. And so now you're stating, well, Urban's arguing semantics as if to make it seem like he's dodging and dancing around the question. And this really he's admitting he got in their ass. He's admitting we had a conversation and it got a little Brody, but I didn't call them losers. He admitted him and Marvin had a conversation. If you think that coaches and players yelling back and forth don't happen in every NFL locker room, you're out of your fucking mind. These are grown men, testosterone, alpha males, highest level. I work, my boss is a former football player. I'm a coach / former player. We scream at each other sometimes and we're being nice. We're just big, loud, aggressive motherfuckers. That's how we talk. That's just the way it is. So it doesn't always mean that there's an issue. Or maybe Marvin Jones was frustrated and didn't want to come in because he saw these reports. And Urban did say several times in the media, we have receivers running wrong routes. Maybe that upset Marvin. If that upsets you, Marvin, though, maybe you should stay after practice with LaVisca. Maybe we should work on him catching the football. Maybe we should work on making sure all these receivers do know the playbook and the right routes. Because from what I hear, Shaq Griffin stays after with Tyson Campbell every damn day. Shaq Griffin grabs Tyson Campbell on the sideline after every fucking play. They have conversations. And guess who's growing? Tyson Campbell.
Yeah.
So we need that on the offensive side. He said, and I quote, I don't have a vocal leader on offense. I have Josh Allen on defense. I have Shaq Griffin on defense. I have Rayshon on Jenkins. I have Malcolm Brown on defense. I don't have one on offense. And it's clear. It's very clear. So, again, to just bring it full circle, that's the only reason I don't fire Urban. Because like you said, if he fails, if that does happen, and we have gone through a hell of a lot of coaches, coordinators, only one house cleaning, you're right. All those things are true. This would be bringing in a new offensive coordinator. But if you do that, you have a chance to be successful right now. Yeah. You have a chance to turn it around fairly quickly. Quicker. If you don't, and you clean house again, then you start over a whole new rebuild from square one. The only piece you have, be it the most important piece, we believe, is the quarterback.
So real quick, I want to give you your due for being here, man. We have 161 people in here, man. This is Agent K from the Men and Teal podcast. I put all of his links down below in the description, man. Facebook page, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I give you credit, man. You're all over every single platform, and you get your live streams out there, man. I just kind of rely on YouTube to send out the notifications and hope people come. But yeah, shout out to you, man. And yeah, what kind of so are you biggest on Facebook? That's the biggest one you go through?
Yeah, I mean that's where our group is probably the most popping. That's where we get most of our live streams now, or our live viewers. Now we've noticed. So we started doing reaction shows with the game. So I'm out here in Illinois. I'm in Chicago, and Jay is back home in Duval. So we'll actually do live stream of the game, and we'll do it with the reaction show title, and we'll react to the game live. So that
Yeah,
way
I
we
do the
can
same thing, man.
yeah, we can beat the whole copyright bullshit. So we stream the game so people out of area can see it and they can watch it with us. So yeah, it's pretty fun. So that's been our new buzz. That's what's kind of been generating the most. How do you do this? How does your DSLR not cut off like mine every fucking 20 minutes? You got to give me the secret. I have to press a button.
I've got a very expensive Canon camera, so
I got a Nikon.
You got to fork over the cash.
I got the big Nikon, bro. I don't know.
I don't know what the deal is.
Fuck it. But yeah, that's been the market now. So that's what we've been doing. We still do our show every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And they can find us on Facebook, Men and Teal Podcast. You can join the group. We're just at 1,000 members there. You can follow us on all social media platforms at Men and Teal Podcast, except Twitter. That's Men and Teal Pod. I suck at Twitter. If it wasn't for going to war with Jaguars Twitter the other day, I probably wouldn't even have 100 followers.
I'm actually pretty good at Twitter. I gotta say, I do. It's. I don't have to put a lot of effort. I feel like into Twitter. I'm pretty good with it. Instagram, I'm not as good at because I can make posts, but all the story stuff, like me going to the supermarket and remember to do all the stories. Like Twitter's nice as I can just get out thoughts and it kind of gets out there.
Right.
That's by far my best platform, I should say.
Yeah. So you got to teach me a Twitter class so I can get my Twitter on. YouTube, you can always subscribe to the channel, Men and Teal Podcast. I mean, it's pretty much out there.
Yeah, I've got all links down below. I want to get some super chats real quick before because I want to get into this Miami post. A lot of people were asking about it, but Steve Boston donated a total of $7. So shout out to you. Legendarily, he's a part of the fantasy league, a money league. Man, he donated $2. Said, I heard you didn't make your fantasy playoffs. I did not, but I had the damn trophy right there. So I'm champion for another 3 or 4 weeks. Jesus is King donated $5. He says, I think Urban is looking for an exit without quitting. He's known to do this. That's probably a little bit of tinfoil hat type of stuff to me. It's Reese is going out here. He's throwing money out here. He's saying that. Let me highlight some of his comments. He says, I say he has to go due to the simple fact of him not knowing about personnel, game planning, and adjusting to in-game situations. A head coach with no clue. He said, what head coach in the league has no clue as to what his players are doing, wasting time with this guy? Players will want out. Free agents won't want to play for him. And finally, I see this guy is okay with what's going on. He must be an urban cheerleader.
I guess.
Yeah, you're an urban cheerleader. I'm an urban hater. It's just it's how it is. But shout out to it's Reese, man. I'm with you, Reese. I know Reese didn't like the hire from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I talked him into it being a good hire, and now big pile on my face. He should be the one with the YouTube channel, not me. But
I wonder how many free agents we were batting away to get out of here who wanted to come here super bad the last decade, because we're definitely a free agent hotspot, Reese. That's been a real thing. Everybody wants to come to Jacksonville anyway.
Yeah, shout out to Isaac with a $5 donation. We've got a clean house. Urban needs to go. Yeah, that's it. And I actually did put up a poll. I have a poll going right now on this. 227 total votes up here on YouTube. 76% of you guys say Urban Meyer should be fired. So, it's about,
what do you think is actually gonna happen though? Like now, do you think for another year he's fired?
I think he's fired.
Really?
I think here's the thing. Here's the reason why I think he's going to get fired. Because I really do think there is a fire with all the smoke. I think a lot of these things coming out, because it's been coming out for several months. And even even guys like Pete Prisco said it back in April. And Pete Prisco loves Jacksonville. He has nothing against Jacksonville. It's different with the guy like Jason La Canfora. He throws out stuff. I'm like, I don't really listen to it because I know he really hates it. But I think if all this stuff is going on, and people in the organization, players, coaches, everybody thinks that he is a phony, there's no way you can keep him around. You know what I mean? I just don't think that, how can you run yourself as a legitimate NFL organization if your head coach, everybody thinks is a phony and nobody nobody believes in. For that reason
Do you
alone,
think the
it's
players
all
feel
about
that way?
what's that?
Do you think the players actually feel that way?
I think so.
You think so? Because I
Yes, I
just
do.
wonder why. So then that means Shaq Griffin, who comes forward and says, no, there's no problem with me and Urban. There's no issues with us. There's no problems in the life. The Shaq Griffins, the Josh Allens, those guys don't seem like they're shucking and jiving to me. Trevor Lawrence is the same guy that stood there in Clemson, more pushed the Black Lives Matter movement, pushed to have college football brought back. He's an alpha male, leader of all leaders type of guy. If the things that, and you're going to get to it in a second, so I won't speak too much on it, but the things that like the Miami Post are saying and the things dating back to the original NFL.com article where after the Ohio situation with him staying and whatnot, after that video came out, the players laugh at him and they don't have respect for him. If any of those things were true, I just don't see how those players would publicly come out repeatedly in support of him, unsolicited. Support Urban Meyer. They could easily just say,
But are there guys that support him? Like, I haven't heard anybody go out and say they're behind Urban.
Shaq Griffin just said it in his last presser.
Yeah.
I mean, Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence are literally arm in arm on the sideline together every time. He's got their arm around him, and this is Trevor walking up to him. I got you, coach. Like, I got your back. It's those little things that don't have to be done. They don't have to do those things. Josh Allen is another one who's publicly come out and stated things in his press conference in support of Urban Meyer. They don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So that's where I wonder. That's where it just doesn't add up. So why would those guys do that? Especially Trevor. Trevor has no ties to Urban. He doesn't care. Urban Meyer's fired if Trevor Lawrence says he's fired.
Yeah.
If Trevor Lawrence tells Shad Khan, no, this is real. We really out of there. Unless Trevor Lawrence says so, I just don't think he's fired. Unless something catastrophic happens between now and the end of the season. That's just my thought.
So shout out to B New with a $25 donation. Woo! Holler, holler, $25 holla. He says, I'm saying blow it up. Urban has no clue what's going on. So yeah, I really appreciate everyone's opinion on this, man. It's a poppin' live stream. So now I want to get to the Miami post. So let me go ahead and share this screen real quick with all you guys. So this is a message board right here. So this comes from like, I guess a Reddit. This is like Reddit, right? I'm not going Reddit, but so this is someone that says it's on a Miami Hurricanes forum, so it's totally random, not related to Jaguars. It says, so I'm good friends with the father of a Jaguars player. The Urban stuff is being underreported. Obviously, this father is very pissed off, but just a taste. Telling players, quote, I've won and you guys haven't. Telling players, quote, tell me why I should care about you. I was brought here under false pretenses, and he's also been dragging coaches in the locker room, openly questioning the GM. This father of a guy who has been on 4 NFL teams, he said his son quotes, my son hates him. It says he's never seen this shit on any other team. And then he says, I have a soft spot for the Jags, but boy, do I hate Urban Meyer. Ask anybody who worked for him. Dude is a world-class asshole. So that
sounds a little tinfoil hatty to me.
Yeah, when it comes to all the different reports, I'm more likely to believe a guy like Pelissero than whoever Fire on Reddit is.
Right.
But that's out there, and apparently it's being. The thing about this is I can go on this forum, make myself Hurricane till I die 1991, and make a post like this. But I don't know. It's out there, and it's making its circles. A lot of people are reading it, so I don't know.
Sharing it and retweeting it, and saying, "See, this is another thing." That doesn't sound like Urban at all, though. Those type of, his assistant coach just came out and said in a report on Bleacher Report, Urban is a players only type of guy. That's it. It's never the player's fault. It's always the coach's fault. We can do more for the players type of guy. So it blows my mind to hear a report like that. And then he made it real simple for you. He said the guy's been on 4 teams. So me and Jay already went back and started going through the roster here on who it could possibly be. Tavon Austin? Tavon Austin saying this? He's been on 4 teams. Malcolm Brown? He's been on 4 teams. That's it. There's nobody
Treadwell,
else.
how many teams has Treadwell been on? 4 teams?
3.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Treadwell going to be quiet as hell. Treadwell's not saying nothing. Treadwell's never had performances like he's having over here. Treadwell's just blessed to be here. One player. What one player did I bring up?
I think he's talking about Shaquille Griffin.
Oh, and Josh Allen. That's 2 players. And Trevor Lawrence. That's 3 players. Trevor Lawrence equals 3 players by himself, though. That's 5 players.
I don't think you're going to be making friends with Reese today. I don't think you guys are breaking bread when you head to Jacksonville one weekend.
We'll be all right. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get him to keep donating. Donate some more, bro.
But shout out to Reese, man. He's a big Jags fan, but also a frustrated Jags fan with all of us. So I guess I honestly, right now we're at the point in the season where it's like, things are bad. We're 2-11, but the next 2 games is really where the rubber hits the road, man. Like, Jaguars were favorited against the Texans. They were favored in the week 1 against the Texans, and we got smoked.
Bam.
If the Jaguars get beat by the Texans, I don't know, man. I know my thoughts. My thoughts aren't going to change. I'm going to be equally as pissed off as Urban Meyer. I'm going to be even more on a train. Like, what are your how are you going to feel if not only Texans, what if we lost to the Texans and Jets back-to-back weeks? Fuck you, Pebble.
That's it. I mean, that's it. Like, I know the defense is going to perform. I know they're going to give us at least a half, 3 quarters, 4 quarters of good football. I'm not worried about that at all. I just see nothing that makes me. I honestly think we're going to lose to the Texans. I really feel that. I've never felt that way. I talked about this on our show before, because I have a lot of friends who are fans of other teams, the Chiefs, the Titans, and you can ask them. I'm loud and aggressive and shit talking nonstop. We're gonna beat your ass. We about to run it through because I played the game for so long. I never went into a game thinking I was ever gonna lose. Never. I've never looked at our schedule and said, yeah, we're gonna lose that game. Like, never. Because I know there's a way to win that game. There was a way for us to beat the Cardinals. There's a way for us to beat the Rams. There was a way for us to beat the Titans. There's a way. Now, it might not be probable, but it is possible. So I've always felt we're going to win. I didn't feel like we were going to beat Buffalo. I was coaching a game that morning, and I get home and I look at my phone. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. It's halftime and the score is what? So I turned it on, and it was incredible. But I don't feel like we're going to win this game because I don't know how. I just don't see a way. The offensive line is playing the worst I've ever seen a Jaguar offensive line play, and that's fucking hard.
Yeah.
I've never seen an offensive line look this bad. They can't protect Trevor. And they I keep hearing put in Walker. Well, Cam Robinson is the best of the terrible bunch that's here. Linder's out again. So
I think people want Walker Little at right tackle. I don't think people are complaining about Cam.
It's hard. That's a hard transition. I played left
tackle. It is hard, but
life.
Man, Jawan, and he's been getting practice at left tackle and right tackle. But man, like Jawan, at this point, man, like once the season started, he should be getting all the reps at right tackle, Walker Little, because man, like it's been really bad, and we've got to address that next season because it's Jawan Taylor, because he had a pretty decent rookie year. Second year, okay, you weren't very good. Work on it. But third year, man, like it's too important a position for him to be playing the way he's been playing.
He's regressed. He's gotten worse every year. And like you said, his first year was his best. He made the all rookie team that year at his position. But how many right tackles were starting that year? How many rookie right tackles were starting that year, I should say. So it's kind of like the world's tallest midget award. There was only a few of them. And he was the best of the few. It's really hard to go from left to right, and you have to want to go from left to right. Walker Little made it very clear he was a left tackle. He made it very clear. Cam Robinson, when he got here, I don't know if you remember, Cam Robinson, there was the same debate then if Cam Robinson might switch over to right tackle. He said very clearly, I'm a left tackle.
Yeah.
When you tell a left tackle to go play right tackle, it's a shot to their ego because typically the right tackle is not as good. He doesn't make as much money. He doesn't hold as much prestige. You just have to be a ball player at that point. And a lot of left tackles are divas. Trust me. I'm a diva. I was a diva, bro. Like I wouldn't want to play on the right side. I'm a left tackle. I'm a premier position. You have to ask yourself, does Walker Little want to move over there? And then the whole, well, kick Jawan inside. He can play guard. That's not really a thing either.
Yeah.
Tackles don't just go, hey, fuck it, I'm going to play guard. Let me kick inside. Coaches can try it, but again, the player has to be willing to do it. Guards make a lot less money than tackles. So there's a money side to it. There's a pride side to it. Jawan Taylor's time in Jacksonville, I would think, is done. He still has another year on his rookie deal. Maybe he stays here. He can't start next year. He's a liability beyond liabilities. The Ben Barch experiment is done. It has to be done. You don't have to cut him. We got to, this guy can be a backup. And maybe one day he will start. But it's not now.
It's confusing with the line right now because, man, like the best one is Cam Robinson. He's said to be a free agent, and if the Jaguars don't pay him, somebody else is going to be. Andrew Norwell was terrible last game. Brandon Linder, I love him, but you can't rely on him. Obviously you talk about Ben Barch and then right tackle, like Jawan Taylor needs to be replaced. So that's, man.
You re-sign Cam? You?
Yeah, I would pay Cam.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not in a position to let good players walk anymore, man.
Right.
Like
if you don't pay Cam, you might as
you're opening up another hole.
Right. And this might happen anyway. Hello, Evan Neal. But if you don't pay Cam, it's definitely hello, Evan Neal, no matter what.
So what would you do with the GM? Because I know you want consistency. I mean, would you keep Balky around?
That's hard, man. Because going back to the draft, right? After the draft, I looked and said, this might be the best draft class we've ever had. That was totally fucking wrong as of right now. Because when you looked at it, you had Trevor Lawrence, right? That's the easy one. You had the best running back in football, if you want to argue it's top two. You had the best or second best running back in football. You had a top 5 pick in Walker Little, who tore his ACL 1 year and then got to sit out an entire year because of COVID and heal up. So you think when Cam Robinson tore his ACL and then he had that middle year where he came back and it wasn't all the way there yet, but he was still playing. And it was kind of rocky, right? You don't have that with Walker Little because he got to take an extra year off. So that was a top 5 pick. You're going to get him in the second round. Tyson Campbell, one of the best DBs in the draft. People feel the way they feel about him. They either didn't like his ball skills, whatever. You can't deny his length. You can't deny his speed. Anytime Tyson Campbell's been beat, he's in somebody's pocket like a stolen lighter. Like there's no way around it. The kid's got talent. You had those guys. Then you get Andre Sisco, one of the best ball hawk safeties in college. This is like, man, this is getting pretty good. Then you get Jay Tufele. GMs and scouts around the league had him as like a 3rd round pick. You get him in the 5th. It's like, man, this might really be the best draft we've had. But then you get Etienne hurt. Walker Little, when he has been in the game, has been put on roller skates like a Sonic waitress. And then you get no Sisco and no reason why. The Sisco thing probably bothers me the most because I just don't know why. I don't really get it. He's clearly a better athlete than Dewey. So he either has to be Taven Bryan dumb or he's still hurt. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But now it's looking like the worst draft class we've ever had next to the
at this point, I would be playing all the rookies, man. I mean, like I said, I mean, I'd be doing a lot of stuff. I'd be putting Will Richardson in a left guard. Yeah. I'd be playing Walker Little or right tackle. I would be
get Norwell out of there, huh?
Yeah, I would get Norwell out of there.
After the last game, I can't argue it.
I mean, I want to see can Will Richardson be the left guard next year? Let's let him play for it, man. Let's see what he's got. I
Why not kick Linder
I
out?
put
Kick Linder out to guard. Shatley's
Dude,
consistent, right?
I don't want I don't want Linder. Like, I don't want to pay him for what he is, because like I love him. I love him when he's
Mhm.
playing, but he can't stay healthy.
How
You know
many
what I
years
mean?
does he have left on his deal? 1?
I don't even
I
know.
think
I
he
just
has at least 1.
it's just every
Those
year
5
he
years.
gets an injury and he finally comes back and then another injury comes. It's just
Well,
you
that's why I
can't.
say kick him out to guard, because then at that point, guards are to change. Your guards are going to go down. You're not going to have a guard
Yeah.
healthy all year. It happens. So
Yeah.
that way, he's out at guard. If he goes down, it's fine. You swap him with a Will Richardson and Ben Barch for a couple games. He comes back. It's not a big deal. Shatley's been consistent.
And then the obvious is I'm playing Cisco. I want to see what Jordan Smith has. I mean at this point, just make Chase on inactive. Like I don't.
You don't like Chase on this year?
He doesn't make a lot of impacts. I don't think he's built. I don't think he's like he's a tweener, man. He's not big enough to be a defensive end / rushing outside linebacker, and he's not big enough to be like a weak side or middle linebacker. He's just, I mean, he goes in there on pass rushing stuff, and if a lineman gets a good step and they get their feet under them, they can just bully him.
Well, yeah, he's small.
But I mean, at this point, it's like, okay, we haven't seen any Jordan Smith. We haven't seen him. Like, I want to see him. I want to see what he's got. I mean, at least at this point, I'd like to see some of his pass rushing moves, because the very worst that can happen is that Jordan Smith goes in there and he gets bullied and he gets pushed around a bunch. Then he says, "Look, I sucked this game. I know what happened. I went in there and I did this wrong. I can go improve on that." Right now, he's got nothing. He's got no game tape. You know what I mean? And they drafted him in the fourth round. They traded up in the fourth round to get him. I don't know, man. I just, we had all these draft picks, and that's the biggest thing I worry about. It's like when I look at it, like, like with me with getting Urban Meyer out of here, I think they get him out of there, then, it's a lost year. But at the end of the day, like, we can move on and go forward. What you can't recover is the fact that we had 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 2 fourth-round picks, first pick in every single round of the draft, and you're not going to be able to get that back. At least you didn't go out there and spend really stupid money, and now you're in like a bad cap situation. But
well, I heard Denny Thompson gave a valid take over on the Sports Den. He said the problem was when they split up those picks. When they let the last regime, the Doug regime, make the first set of double first, then you go ahead and you have this regime do it, because you're splitting the plan up. But that's exactly why I say that's what's going to happen again. You bring in another new regime, they're splitting the plan up again. So you get no way to gain ground. You walk in, your vision for this team is a lot different than mine, maybe. And then we go, okay, well, you did this and you just spent all this draft capital on this. Now I'm going to come in, and I don't really view it that way. Like, if Urban Meyer doesn't like James Robinson, nobody can get mad at that. Like, guess what? I take James out on Madden every time. He doesn't touch the fucking field for me. He's not fast enough for the style of offense I run. I put him in on the goal line, and that's it. He is Maurice Jones-Drew when Fred Taylor was still here. He's going to have, 15, 16 touchdowns for me, but that bitch ain't going to get more than 15 yards because he's just not going to run the ball. He's not fast enough. And that's what you saw in Tennessee. You saw him try to run outside those couple of times because they're weak to the left. He went to run outside. He didn't have anywhere to go, but he's never going to get around the edge. He's just not fast enough. I love James. I'm not saying anything, but that's the type of things you deal with. People are upset right now. They think Urban Meyer doesn't like James Robinson or doesn't want James Robinson. That could happen with the next guy. He may not want a power back. James Robinson is a one-cut runner, power back guy. The reason he didn't get drafted is he runs a fucking 4.6. There's offensive linemen in the league faster than him.
Yeah.
I've never seen a running back in 86 speed on Madden in my life. He's slow.
Yeah.
So those are the things you deal with, man. Like, if you risk bringing somebody else in who they may not like Miles, they may not like Josh Allen, they may want to move on. That's when it gets tricky, man. That's when it gets weird. I mean, it can happen. So who knows?
Yeah, so I guess a lot of people were asking me, okay, if you're gonna fire Urban Meyer, who are you gonna bring in? There's a lot of good names, but I mean, like, a lot of people love the Leftwich, even like the Kellen Moores. I mean, if I were to do it, I bring in Doug Peterson. I mean, he's a guy that's won the Super Bowl for the Eagles. I think he got kind of a raw deal over there because a bunch of the owner and Howie Roseman, everyone's telling him what he needs to be doing when he really didn't want to do that. I mean, I think he's a guy that can come in here and look. He's done it all. He's been there. He's done all that. I don't know if this is too big of a mission for a guy like Byron Leftwich to come in and be able to take something over like this.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and another big thing about this whole thing is that I really do worry about being able to bring in with if these reports are true and if Urban Meyer really is rubbing the wrong guys, like how well we're going to be able to bring in good coaches and good free agents. And I really worry about that.
I think if he stays, he brings in college guys.
I mean, I think he brings in Dan Mullen I think Dan Mullen's a lock for OC if he comes in here.
100%.
And
I think so. Because but the thing is everybody said Urban Meyer needs to surround himself with NFL guys. Everybody. That's what he has to do. And he did that. He went and got the Super Bowl winning coach for his offensive coordinator. He did that. It's funny because it almost seems like, and this is one of those tinfoil hat things, and I've said this before, it seems as though Urban was like, okay, you want me to go get your guys? I'll get your guys. So he goes and gets these NFL guys, and he says, all right, you do your business. You handle your thing. I'll be over here just running this shit. And then he lets it fail, and he blows it up. He says, now I'm going to bring my guys in. And then he's going to go in there, and he's going to get Dan Mullen and whoever the hell else he wants to bring in. But I feel like that's what he's going to do next. If he sticks around, that's what he's going to bring in.
Yeah.
So, yes, I did compare James Robinson in real life to James Robinson on Madden. Not sure if you knew this or not. It's crazy. But Madden adjusters are actually people that go around and they watch the players play. So they take into their stats, their 40-yard dash time, their bench press, if they run people over, if they juke, what moves they frequently use, all those things into consideration when creating said player on the game. So like Tyreek Hill, who's the fastest receiver in the NFL, would you believe he's the fastest receiver on the game? And that's some 99 speed. Crazy. Travis Etienne, very fast, yeah. 4.4 guy. 93 speed. Who'd have thunk it? James Robinson didn't get drafted because he runs a 4.65. 86 speed. Who'd have thunk it? If you're going to sit here and tell me that you think James Robinson is fast, well, I'm going to lose respect for all the great comments you made earlier. Because James Robinson has never broken a run downfield. He gets caught every single time. And that's why we drafted Travis Etienne, I felt like.
Yeah.
When the Travis pick happened, I said, oh, that's because you want to actually score on those runs. James Robinson's a great back. I love James. But you need to have some speed, too.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, though. You definitely made me feel a little bit better about the Urban Meyer thing. That's why I brought you in here, man. Because I was really looking at one side of it. I still believe in my own guns. I would still do my own thing. And, we have 314 total votes about should Urban Meyer be fired. 77% said yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
They're done with it, man. The city's done with Urban. The honeymoon.
I mean, I think these next two games are going to be really telling.
Yeah, they will. And they're both against rookie quarterbacks. One of them is Davis fucking Mills with a terrible roster. The other one is the guy who was picked after you, who the media started saying was better than you. And we all laughed and said, oh, the media's trying not to get Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. We went that route. So it'll be interesting to see how they play out. The Jets have a pretty good defense, though. I think people need to remember that.
Yeah.
Jets have a decent defense. Jets have Keelan Cole. He'd be the best receiver on this team right now. They have Corey Davis. He's hurt, but they have better receivers than us. And they probably got a better coaching staff. So it's going to be
sorry, man. As long as Men in Teal super fan Reese is going to keep throwing out money, man. He says, bruh, I guess he glitches like that on Madden too. If he has better O-line, you'd eat those words.
What do you mean? Last season, it's speed, bro. We're not talking about is he a good running back. We're not talking about if he can read. He does everything he's supposed to do. There's a reason why this offseason going into it, James Robinson said that he wanted to do what? Get faster. That's all. He wants to get faster. He's slow. It's okay to be slow, bro. You can be a slow running back. Shout out Ron Dane. It happens.
Yeah. But what's it called? But just so you guys know, man, this is Agent K. I have all of his links down below, man. We have 167 people in here, man.
Yeah.
It was a good show. I think everybody in here, man, we need to get his numbers up. Let's go in there, man. Let's let's go over there with social support for him, man. If there's still Jaguars creators out there that are making videos and taking their time, we're 2-11 to just make content and talk about this team, man.
Support them.
You got to support them, man, because it's
hard,
hard, man. We should be talking about, where we are in a playoff seeding, how we're number 5, how we can win a division. We're 1 game back. We're not doing that, man.
Last week we can do that, right? We could at least play.
Right now, we're rooting for the Lions. Why? For draft position.
That's
what I mean?
Who are you taking?
This is all too. I mean, I guess I don't know. I haven't looked enough about it at all. It seems like Hutchinson is the most well-rounded.
Just ask Stone Cold Steve Boston. He'll tell you. That's all he does is tell me who to take.
Oh yeah, he's Steve Boston, man. He's the draft guru, man. Yeah. Bring him in. He's gonna look like, here we go. Tune into MIT because Stone Cold says so. Yeah, I give him credit. He's over here. He comes on in the relevant stream, which I do with Tommy Mack, and he's telling Tommy who we need to be drafting. So he knows what he's talking about, man.
Oh yeah, he studies these college guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I used to do a lot of it, but man, but then I would do and I would fall in love with these players. Then the Titans would draft him, and they'd go to these different places, and I don't look at any of them. So I'm just gonna stop just falling in love with these players and just have them go other places.
You got a full schedule now. You got a fiance. You're doing grown-up things. You can't paint signs anymore. I got all this empty space on my office wall. One. Oh, there it is.
You just gotta wait for people. People sometimes will see them selling them in the Facebook group. So I just gotta tag you in it next time.
I see. They're taxing. They're charging everything.
I know, man. They said this is painted by UCF Jaguar. I'm gonna put the appreciating value fee on there. Yeah, man. But I'm. It's funny because I just ended one of my jobs. I'm actually starting school back up in January. So there's always shit going on with me, man, unfortunately. But I'll always be able to shove in some Jaguars talk. I'll never make excuses out of that because at the end of the day, I like it, man. I do like it. And this is, it makes me feel better. Having this conversation, I guess I don't know if it's going to make the Jags better, but it made me feel better.
Right. You get to vent,
Yeah.
You get to vent. I know after the Rams game, I just took the jersey off on the show. I took it off. I threw shit. I got angry. The first time I ever said we're fucking trash. We suck. I'm super optimistic. Yeah. We're fucking trash. We're horrible. And I just vented for an hour straight, ranted. Everybody on the show was just quiet.
I do this. I watch all the games, man. I'm sitting here seeing our wide receivers run into each other, and it's a terrible product. When I saw it, I'm just like, oh my God. And we're running RPOs on 3rd and long with Carlos Hyde. I'm like, what are we? Some of this stuff, man.
Whole game, man. I didn't let it go. I still can't let it go. We're running read option on 3rd and 8. That's the worst thing I've ever seen.
I put on Twitter the next day. I'm like, sometimes when life is hard, I just want to go out there and run a RPO with Carlos Hyde on a 3rd and long.
Yeah, I retweeted it. I saw it. Yeah.
Shout out to David Bryan with a $5 donation. The urban legend must retire. He's embarrassing the Jaguars organization.
He is doing that.
Would you, if they fired Urban Meyer, would you be pissed, or would you be like, okay?
No? Like I said, because I'm not an Urban Meyer fan, so yeah, I would be worried. I'd be worried for what comes next. It's that fear of the unknown, man. Well,
you can't trust Shad Khan, man.
You got to think he vetted this forever. He wanted this. He dreamt of this. This is the guy he wanted. So who's second on his list? I wanted Byron, right? Midway through last season, when I realized the writing was on the wall for Doug Marrone, I said, all right, let's go. We did a show where we listed, 3-4 coaches we'd hire. And Byron was at the top of my list. I just say, the homecoming, it's a beautiful story. I think the story, I don't want to say the NFL scripted, but stories have started to become a real thing in the NFL. And these storylines are pushed heavily. I think we might see a fucking Patriots-Bucks Super Bowl. It very well can happen. It looks like it might happen. And that's crazy. That's a crazy story. Last year's story, crazy story. You can go all the way back to the bus getting to the Steelers somehow stopping that fumble from the Colts and making it to the Super Bowl in Jerome Bettis' hometown, and then he gets to retire on top. Like storylines, they're just there. Byron Leftwich coming back to Jacksonville. And it's funny to see all these fans now say, bring back Byron, come home, the king. Y'all hated him.
Yeah.
I remember
there wasn't a lot of love for him like last year, but now it's like full on for him.
Yeah. And when he was here, oh, y'all couldn't stand old long wind up Byron. You hated him. Not you, but the fan base. Y'all hated him. I heard it because I loved him.
I was too young to hate him. I was too young to hate him.
Yeah, I had to have these arguments with people nonstop about, no, Byron's actually good. No, he sucks. No, our O-line sucks. We can't pass pro. We can only run block. No, okay. Go back and watch the Byron Leftwich highlights. You're going to see
I remember as a kid because I was born in 93, so whenever I don't know what year he was drafted. I just remember the windmill, because that was like my very young days of watching. I was like, this dude throws weird.
But it was a laser. It came out and it was, I remember when I was getting the highlights together for our Jimmy Smith interview, and I was getting highlights together to do his intro. I remember going through the highlights and whatnot, and I'm like, oh shit. And there's one where he's probably on the 30 and he under center, backs up, hike, gets smashed and throws a bomb 70 yards downfield in the air in double coverage, drops it over top of him right into Jimmy's hands. He doesn't have to slow up, doesn't have to speed up. Perfect ball. And I'm just like, man, yeah, that was Byron. That was Byron. Every pass was a laser and on the money. But he just had a long windup. So they said, oh, you can't block long enough. What? Yes, you can. If he's on the Colts, he's a Hall of Famer.
But his I feel like his, with his throwing motion nowadays, it would have been criticized big time. It's like back then, I don't think mechanics were looked at as tough, but now it's like, we have all these advanced metrics of, the arm curvature and the delivery and the seconds that, and how, there's so many sports science things behind it. Like that throwing motion, if he was throwing like that now, they would have fixed that shit in high school to where he's never throwing like that anymore. But
yeah, that was a tough son of a bitch. We had his guard on. On for an interview, and he came on and kind of told us the story of him and Marshall when he broke his leg. And I didn't know they actually lost that game, so he went back and walked me through it. And with him coming back in the game, it was a great story. Joey, yeah.
I remember you had him on. Yeah, that was last summer, right?
Yeah, it was good stuff. Great interview. Really good story. Yeah, Byron was a tough guy. Blake was a tough guy. We've had a couple of those. I love Blake. We've had a couple of them.
I love Blake. He's a UCF guy. And I just respect players that, they go out and they put everything on the line and, they put their bodies out there. Because that's one thing that Gabbert didn't do. He was just kind of a pussy. But, Leftwich and Bortles, man, they went out there and they
dogs.
They were dogs.
Nick Bortles will run a man over and look down at him afterwards, bitch.
Yeah.
And keep going. I loved it.
Yeah. But hey, Agent K, man, dude, appreciate you for coming on here, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad I finally got you on the channel. Like I said, everybody, his links and everything are down below. Go following him everywhere. I'm sure. What do you got? Anything fun, exciting coming up on your end?
Yeah, man. Like I said, every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, we got this week coming up. Few special guests lined up. We'll wait to announce those. But then, we're joining you guys with Tommy Mack. I'll be coming aboard the Relevant app with him on the Jaguar channel. So we're getting that in the works. So we'll start that next week. We have 2 days we're deciding on, and then we'll be moving forward with that. So that's exciting. Try to hop on a couple of the shows with you two. So that's kind of in the works right now. Other than that, man, just trying to get this as much content out as possible. I'm just trying to get like you with the YouTube, the clips and I'm just not good with it. I'm a live guy.
I don't know. I'm a little bit here and there. The videos are nice for me because I don't know. I feel like they're structured, and sometimes I say and I don't know. I feel like I can just sit down and 12 minutes get my thoughts out real quick and put it out there. And I don't even really need to edit a whole lot. It's just I feel like that's my best form of really getting what I need out there, because I get really ADHD with comments, and somebody will say something funny and I'll completely lose my train of thought, and then there'll be super chats coming in. I don't know. It's just for me, I like to go out there and kind of throw up a video. So
yeah, well, you do a
and
good
it's Reese came in here and said, Agent K, you did speak some facts, bro. Glad you're on the show. Thanks UCF for another good live chat. So
Reese, thank you, bro. I appreciate you, man.
Hands have been shaken. You know, we're all we're the state we're at right now. We're 2-11. Everybody's mad at each other, man. We're all mad at each other.
We're fucking Jaguar fans, Reese.
If we can't be mad at, we got to be mad at somebody, man. We got to be mad at somebody.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Unfortunately, we're all mad at each other, man. That's the unfortunate thing. But all right, Ken, I'm gonna let you go, dude. Appreciate you coming on tonight, man.
Oh, no, I appreciate you for having me. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you go over, click the links, come follow us, subscribe to the channel, and keep rocking with UCF because he's the GOAT, bro.
All right, fellas. Peace.